For the first time in space exploration history, every major space agency on Earth has gone dark simultaneously. NASA claims bureaucratic paralysis, Europe says they're still processing, and China, known for their swift releases, has vanished completely from public communication. But here's what they don't want you to know. The data is still flowing. Right now, as I speak, terabytes of information from the 3 Atlas Mars encounter are streaming into control rooms worldwide. We want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments below, where in the world are you watching this video from? Whether it's a bustling city, a quiet town, or somewhere off the map, drop your location and join our global community of space explorers. Your comment might even be featured in our next video. The silence isn't technical, it's deliberate. And what I've uncovered about why they're all staying quiet will change how you think about what's really happening in our solar system. So what exactly has stopped, and more importantly, why? The European Space Agency, normally transparent and methodical, maintains that its data remains in processing. The Chinese program, renowned for its swift and bold releases from the Tianwen-1 orbiter, has fallen utterly silent. No statements, no thumbnails, not even a single placeholder acknowledging that the encounter ever occurred. And it's here that the story takes a stranger turn. Because in an era defined by instant imagery and live scientific broadcasting, the absence of information becomes its own kind of message. The silence itself is the data. Under ordinary circumstances, this event would have sparked a planetary celebration, a rare alignment of human technology and cosmic timing. Every major orbital platform, from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to Europe's Mars Express and China's Tianwen-1, was perfectly positioned to capture an interstellar traveler as it drifted through a planetary system, something that happens perhaps once in 1,000 lifetimes. Yet instead of the usual cascade of high-resolution mosaics, color composites, and eager press briefings, we have nothing. No images, no statements, no sound, a vacuum, a carefully measured stillness that now feels heavier than the data itself. So we are left to ask the unsettling question, what kind of event could unite every competing space power, every government agency, every observatory in the exact same decision to say absolutely nothing? NASA's official statement arrived with the calm precision of bureaucracy, measured, cautious, and almost too convenient. According to their narrative, a federal funding freeze was triggered 48 hours before the Martian encounter, halting non-essential communication and temporarily shutting down public data channels. It's an explanation that, at first glance, feels reasonable. After all, we've seen this theater before, the slow machinery of government grinding against the momentum of discovery. Yet anyone familiar with how deep space operations truly function knows the truth runs deeper than public headlines. A shutdown can close doors, yes. It can dim the lights in visitor centers, suspend media briefings, and silence social media accounts. But the spacecraft themselves do not obey political calendars. They continue their mission in perfect indifference to human administration. Inside those vast, windowless control rooms, monitors still glow. Engineers still watch the telemetry scroll by frame, packet by packet. Algorithms continue their relentless work, turning cosmic whispers into lines of numbers that only the patient can interpret. If you enjoyed this journey, hit like and subscribe to stay updated on every cosmic discovery we explore together. So while NASA's outward voice has gone quiet, its instruments never stop speaking. The data still flows through the veins of the network, encrypted, time-stamped, archived. Somewhere inside those servers lies the record of what 3I Atlas revealed as it slipped past the red planet. The agency insists that operations remain secure and uninterrupted. Yet if that is true, then why has not a single preliminary image surfaced? No early test frames, no raw calibration shots, nothing. Normally, within hours of an event of this magnitude, the public would be flooded with content, pixelated previews, color-corrected mosaics, animated trajectories. But this time the silence is absolute. Perhaps NASA fears releasing incomplete or ambiguous results. Perhaps the data contains anomalies that defy easy explanation. Or perhaps for the first time in decades, even the most seasoned scientists are unsure of what they are seeing. Because deep inside every mission archive and analysis lab, the conversation has already begun, quiet, fragmented, and cautious. Not about a funding freeze, but about the strange consistency of that silence spreading beyond NASA itself, a silence mirrored by Europe, echoed by China, and reinforced by every station that should have been transmitting wonder to the world. And that is what makes this moment so profoundly unsettling. The silence feels less like absence and more like agreement. By now, the silence has become impossible to ignore. What began as a quiet pause from NASA has rippled outward, spreading through the global web of observation like a system-wide eclipse. The European Space Agency, normally transparent, methodical, almost predictable in its discipline, has fallen completely still. And across the other side of the planet, China's Tianwen-1 orbiter, famed for its rapid data releases and sharp crystalline imagery of Mars, has gone equally dark. Not delayed, not under review, just gone. For the first time in modern astronomical history, every major player in space exploration has chosen silence over spectacle. The coordination is uncanny, as if an invisible switch has been thrown, dimming the lights of human curiosity all at once. In previous decades, when international missions overlapped, there was always competition, a quiet race for credit, a hunger to be first, to publish, to astonish. Data was power, imagery was proof. To withhold either meant losing the narrative. And yet, now no one seems to want that power. So the question grows louder than the data itself. What did they all see? Inside the corridors of the European Space Operations Center, screens still flicker in the dim glow of late-night monitoring. Analysts still log in, still observe telemetry streams from the Mars Express orbiter, but no files are being shared, no press statements are queued. Even the internal chatter, the little bursts of excitement that usually leak into public channels, has vanished. Meanwhile, China's network, normally proud of broadcasting its interplanetary successes, has retreated behind complete opacity. The Tianwen-1 mission team, once quick to post updates through state-run science outlets, has scrubbed recent reports entirely. It's as if the event never existed. All of this, the silence, the synchronization, the absence, forms a pattern too precise to be coincidence. Space, after all, is unpredictable. Politics are not. And when every agency mirrors the same behavior at the same moment, we must ask whether this is truly about science. Or something far larger, the blackout now stretches beyond the boundaries of data and policy. It feels coordinated, like a script rehearsed long before the cameras ever rolled. A global agreement written in silence, sealed in secrecy, and timed to perfection. And while the world waits for answers, 3i Atlas continues its silent journey beyond Mars, indifferent, distant, and unbound by whatever decision has just united the human species in quiet. What makes this silence truly extraordinary is not just its coordination, but its timing, because this was not an ordinary encounter. For a few precious hours, every orbital eye around Mars, American, European, Chinese, was perfectly aligned to witness something that may not happen again for centuries. 3i Atlas, a visitor from beyond our solar neighborhood, drifted close enough to the red planet to be captured in exquisite detail. The geometry was flawless. Every instrument was ready. Each spacecraft was positioned at the precise angle to study an interstellar traveler within the glow of another world. It was, in every sense, the perfect experiment, the kind of alignment that scientists dream about but rarely see in a lifetime. Mars served as both witness and mirror, its thin atmosphere scattering sunlight across the intruder's surface, revealing composition, speed, and perhaps even something about its origin. And then nothing, no images, no reports, not a single pixel of confirmation from the orbiters that had the best vantage points humanity could possibly achieve. The moment came and went, passing through our solar system like a whisper, swallowed by static. Astronomers around the world waited for even a hint of data, a raw frame, a spectrum, an offhand remark buried in a research note. Instead, the official channels fell into the same synchronized quiet that now defines this mystery. In the grand scale of cosmic time, 3 Atlas is only a brief visitor, a flash of light crossing the boundary between stars. To lose that moment is to lose a page in the universe's own diary. Once gone, it cannot be recreated. The configuration of orbiters, the relative positions of Earth, Mars, and the object itself, these will not align again for many generations. And so, for reasons we have yet to understand, humanity has turned away from its own window into the unknown. We had the tools, the timing, the technology, and somehow we chose silence. Perhaps the data exists, locked away in encrypted archives, waiting for clearance, or perhaps something in that data defied explanation, challenging the very frameworks we use to understand the cosmos. Either way, what we lost was more than an observation. It was a once-in-a-century chance to confront the universe on its own terms, and we let it pass in quiet. Even before the silence began, scientists studying 3I Atlas were unsettled by its behavior. From the first moment of detection, the object refused to follow the familiar script of a comet or asteroid. It behaved like something entirely outside the patterns of our solar system, a visitor written in an unknown language. Spectroscopic analysis revealed its first secret, a strange blend of elements that defied ordinary classification. Endemic in its spectrum was the faint signature of nickel, bright, sharp, unmistakable, yet there was no trace of iron, its natural twin. In the chemistry of space, nickel without iron is like a shadow without light. It should not exist in isolation, and yet here it was. Then came its motion. Most comets, when heated by the sun, exhale, jets of vapor erupting from their surface, creating a gentle but measurable wobble that alters their trajectory. 3I Atlas, however, showed none of it. No outgassing, no tail, no spin irregularities. It traveled with absolute precision, like a machine obeying its own laws, untouched by solar heat or gravitational pull. Astronomers ran simulations, adjusting for every known force, and still the result was the same: stability. Perfect, unwavering, almost mechanical. It was as if the object was designed to resist the chaos of the cosmos. And then there was the light polarization data. The way light bends and scatters when reflected revealed something entirely alien. The readings were extreme, unlike any comet or rock ever recorded. The light from 3I Atlas behaved as though it were reflecting off a metallic or crystalline structure rather than dust or ice. Some compared it to polished alloy. Others refused to speculate at all. Individually, these anomalies might be explained away. An odd composition here, an unusual rotation there. But together they form a profile so improbable it borders on impossible. A body forged beyond our solar understanding, moving with intent, coded in a material that does not belong to the language of planets or stars. And perhaps that is why the silence began. Because what do you say to the world when nature stops behaving like nature? When an object from the deep interstellar dark arrives carrying a signature that feels deliberate, 3I Atlas continues to glide silent and indifferent, leaving behind a trail not of dust or gas, but of unanswered questions. If the chemistry of 3I Atlas raised eyebrows, its motion shattered assumptions. From the moment its orbit was reconstructed, Mathematicians and dynamicists began whispering the same impossible phrase: this should not be happening. 3i Atlas is not simply passing through our solar system. Its trajectory weaves between planets with a precision that defies probability. Near Mars, it executed a gravitational passage so exact that some described it as surgical, a maneuver that allowed it to skim just close enough for observation, yet remain untouched by the planet's pull. For natural bodies, such paths are rare. The cosmos is messy, guided by chance and chaos. Comets tumble, asteroids drift, trajectories evolve with every faint push of sunlight or collision of dust. But 3i Atlas moves as though immune to that randomness, steady, constant, deliberate. When researchers fed its data into long-term orbital models, the numbers refused to behave. Each simulation that assumed a purely natural origin broke apart under its own improbability. Even small errors in trajectory, even minor gravitational influences, should have sent it spinning into deviation. Yet it stayed perfectly aligned, a path so balanced that the odds of it occurring naturally fall beyond astronomical measure. Then came the question of mass. Observations indicated a density far higher than expected, too heavy for a comet, too stable for a fragment of ice or rock. Its internal structure, whatever it may be, absorbs and reflects gravitational influence with an efficiency unknown to planetary science. Taken together, these factors paint a picture that does not fit within the vocabulary of random cosmic motion. A body that travels through multiple gravitational wells, each encounter mathematically perfect, each outcome impossibly clean. Statisticians began to whisper what astronomers would not say aloud, that the probability of this being purely natural approaches zero. Something about its precision, its timing, its stability feels engineered. Of course, artificial is a word no one dares to use officially. In the language of science, that word demands proof, and proof, at least for now, remains hidden behind the walls of silence surrounding the data. But somewhere deep inside the modeling labs and mission archives, a quiet realization is spreading. Whatever 3i Atlas is, it's rewriting the mathematics of what space objects can be. And that in itself is the most unsettling data point of all. Silence in science is rarely empty. It is not always the absence of truth. Sometimes it is the space between discovery and confirmation. And that may be exactly what we are witnessing now. If every major space agency has fallen quiet at the same moment, it may not be coincidence or conspiracy. It may be protocol. For decades, buried in the fine print of interagency agreements, there has existed a framework, a guideline created for the unthinkable. It was designed not for politics, not for warfare, but for contact. A set of procedures written during the dawn of the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, mean to govern what humanity should do if we ever detected something that could not be explained by natural means. These rules, often referred to as the First Contact Protocols, require immediate coordination among nations. No single entity, no individual government is permitted to announce such a discovery alone. Every observation must be independently verified, analyzed, and discussed behind closed doors before it ever reaches the public. And now, when we consider what 3i Atlas has shown us, geometric motion, perfect trajectory, metallic reflection, chemical impossibilities, we begin to see why silence might not just be deliberate but necessary. If multiple nations have confirmed an object behaving in ways no natural body should, then the blackout becomes more than a cover-up, it becomes compliance, a coordinated adherence to the very rules designed for this exact moment. Imagine the implications. A body moving through our solar system, not with the chaos of nature, but with the precision of intent. If that intent exists, even in the faintest statistical sense, then the world must pause. Every government, every observatory, every scientist must confirm beyond doubt before speaking a single word. Because once that word is spoken, there is no turning back. This is why the silence matters. It is not emptiness, it is structure. A structure built long ago for a possibility that until now was only theoretical. And if that structure has been activated, then the question is no longer, why are they silent? It's what have they already agreed upon. To be fair, silence does not always mean secrecy. In science, sometimes it simply means uncertainty. The cosmos has a way of humbling even the most advanced instruments, and data rarely arrives in perfect clarity. So before jumping to conclusions, we must ask the reasonable question, could there be an innocent explanation? Perhaps the blackout stems from calibration delays. After all, every instrument that scanned 3I Atlas was pushed beyond its expected limits. Its brightness, its motion, its composition, all straining the sensors built for more predictable worlds. Processing that kind of data could take weeks, maybe months. Teams might still be cross-checking the numbers, aligning results from different orbiters, waiting for consistency before making anything public. Or maybe the scientists are simply being cautious. In a world where every finding becomes global news within minutes, one flawed interpretation could stain years of research. Imagine releasing an early image or measurement, only to discover later that it was a software error, a reflection artifact mistaken for something profound. Perhaps they are guarding their credibility, not their secrets. There is even the possibility of embarrassment. What if the instruments failed? What if the perfect alignment of orbiters, the once-in-a-century opportunity, resulted in corrupted data or unreadable noise? Admitting such a failure on a global stage would be difficult for any dying agency, especially when billions of dollars and reputations are at stake. All of these are plausible, all have happened before, and yet none explain the pattern. None account for the fact that every space program, American, European, Chinese, Indian, and even the smaller collaborative observatories, has gone silent at the exact same moment about the exact same object. Technical failures do not synchronize across continents. Bureaucratic delays do not occur in perfect global harmony, which leaves us with a silence that feels less like coincidence and more like coordination. Somewhere behind the walls of that silence, data is being examined, debated, and possibly feared. Because whatever 3 Atlas truly is, it seems to have pushed science into the one territory it fears most, the space between the explainable and the impossible. Impossible. At this stage, the silence surrounding 3I Atlas can no longer be dismissed as mere delay. It feels purposeful, engineered, as though humanity's voice has been collectively dimmed by something larger than bureaucracy. And the deeper we look into it, the more two possibilities begin to take shape. The first is coordination, a quiet, deliberate effort among the world's leading space powers to manage whatever truth has emerged from this encounter. If the data from 3I Atlas contains evidence of technology, geometry, or control, even in the faintest sense, then the global reaction would need to be handled with surgical precision. Information, once released, cannot be recalled. And so perhaps the blackout is not suppression at all, but choreography, a carefully measured pause before the world is told something it has never been told before. But then there is the other possibility, one even more unsettling. What if the silence is not about control but confusion? What if the data gathered defies interpretation entirely? Imagine teams of scientists in different countries staring at identical readings that make no sense, composition that should not exist, trajectories that should not hold, carrying in ways that break physical law. Each team double-checking, recalibrating, terrified not of what they might prove, but of what they might confirm. In that uncertainty, silence becomes safety, because once the data is spoken aloud, it demands meaning, it demands truth. And when that truth brushes against the boundaries of civilization-level understanding, no one wants to be the first to say it. So perhaps what we're witnessing is not a conspiracy, but a kind of global hesitation, the first quiet breath before humanity acknowledges something it has never faced before. In the corridors of space agencies and research centers, that realization must weigh heavily, because the longer this silence continues, the clearer it becomes that what hides behind it isn't just data. It's the threshold of a moment that could redefine what we are. And so we arrive at the quietest, yet perhaps the most profound aspect of this extraordinary story. 3i Atlas has not sent signals. It has not broadcast its presence in the way we might imagine a cosmic visitor would. It has not made a spectacle, nor offered reassurance, nor performed in a manner intended for human comprehension. And yet, through its mere existence, through the pattern of its motion, and through the anomalies it presents, it has already accomplished something historic, something that no telescope, no satellite, no mission report could achieve alone. By simply passing through our solar system, it has compelled humanity's greatest spacefaring nations, rivals often defined by competition, prestige, and secrecy, to act in concert, to pause, to align, to communicate in silence, a temporary truce, not written in treaties, not signed in corridors of power, but lived, enforced by the weight of uncertainty, the gravity of responsibility, and the imperative of careful observation, a silence that stretches from Washington to Paris to Beijing and beyond, binding governments, space agencies, and scientific teams across continents in a shared, cautious understanding that words alone could not achieve. The silence itself has become a message. It is a reminder that the universe, vast and indifferent, has a way of creating circumstances that humble even the most advanced civilizations. That it can, through the presence of a single object moving across the void, teach patience, teach coordination, teach respect for the unknown. In this moment, the cosmos is both teacher and observer, holding its lessons close, letting humanity learn in measured doses, testing our discipline as much as our curiosity. Whether the observations ultimately prove mundane or extraordinary, 3i Atlas has already forced the human species to pause, to align, and to confront the limits of understanding. It has demonstrated that some moments demand deliberation, that some discoveries require more than immediate revelation, that the careful orchestration of truth, measured, unified, and precise, may be as important, in the end, as the truth itself. All eyes now turn toward December, when 3i Atlas will pass near Earth's orbit. At that time, the data may finally be released, the questions answered, the mystery illuminated. But even in anticipation, we are reminded that history is not always made in revelation, in spectacle, or in headlines. Sometimes history is made in restraint. Sometimes it is made in the collective decision to act with care, to weigh consequences, to let uncertainty guide preparation rather than panic, to allow wisdom the first voice before wonder. 3i Atlas will continue its silent voyage, indifferent to the lessons it imparts, obeying the laws of gravity with the same regal precision it has shown since its first detection. And humanity, watching, waits, poised between awe and apprehension, ready for the moment when the cosmos finally chooses to speak, prepared to listen with both humility and imagination. In the end, the silence is not absence, it is presence, not of sound, but of meaning, not of broadcast, but of comprehension. Even without a signal, even without a word, 3i Atlas has already reshaped our understanding of vigilance, cooperation, and the fragile magnificence of discovery. And perhaps that is the greatest signal of all, that sometimes silence speaks louder than any voice could. If this journey through the cosmos amazed you, hit like and subscribe to join our community of space explorers. And don't go anywhere. Click the next video to uncover what 3i Atlas will reveal next.